Hello, good evening, and welcome back to another episode of Paranormal Gateway Paratalk, where we discuss all things paranormal. We are your hosts. I'm Teresa. This is Scott, and tonight we will be discussing different kinds of spirits at some of America's haunted breweries, distilleries, and wineries with our very special guest this evening, Amanda Woomer. And I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. Scott says I am, so I better be. Amanda she is a writer. She is an anthropologist and a former international English teacher as well. There is a lot more for us to learn about Amanda. She kind of dabbles into a good bit of everything. So without further ado, why don't we bring in our special guest, Amanda?
Hello.
Hello.
I have to say that was the most epic opening credit sequence I've ever seen in my life. So bravo.
I have Scott to thank for that. Because I'm not doing that on my own.
It was awesome.
Oh, it's fun to do. I enjoy doing it. So.
He really does. He enjoys it. So you are a very busy woman.
Yeah.
So where did you we'll just kind of start from the beginning here to help our guests kind of get to really know you. So how did you begin? What got you started in the paranormal, and then kind of just go from there?
Yeah, so my paranormal origin story is, I think, very similar for a lot of people. I was a little girl, probably about 7 years old, where I saw my first unexplained phenomenon. Basically, long story short, I was in my bedroom one night, in my bed, and I looked out into the hallway and I saw an old woman out in the hallway. We didn't have a grandparent visiting. We didn't have an old lady living with us. And I very distinctly remember that she had on like a pink terry cloth bathrobe. She had slippers on and crazy bedhead. And she actually stopped and turned and looked at me. So she saw me before continuing into our family's linen closet. And it only took a second or two, probably. It felt a lot longer at the time. But I screamed for my mom, and she actually ran through the old lady. She did not see her. And of course, then it was all it was just a dream. You were imagining it. But I was very much awake. I know exactly what I saw. But interestingly enough, I don't feel like I grew up in a haunted house at all. That was literally the only thing that ever happened. I think I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, looking in the right direction. So years later, I found out that the previous owner was an elderly woman, and she did die in the house, and her bedroom happened to be my bedroom. So I'm glad I was much older when I found that out. But that was really, I would probably burn the house to the ground at 7 years old.
I don't know what happened, Mom and Dad.
I don't know. It's a mystery. So that was kind of the starting point for me. And this was back in the 90s. So it was way before reality TV, ghost hunting shows. So I started reading books. I went to the library and started reading books. And there was really only one set of younger books geared towards younger readers. And I just devoured them. Cryptids, aliens, ghosts, unexplained phenomenon. And then mid-2000s, ghost hunting shows came out. Of course, myself, along with everyone else, I think, became absolutely obsessed. Around 2004, 2005, I started kind of ghost hunting, going to supposed haunted spots. But it was very much just a curiosity for me, going on tours and investigations and stuff. In 2015, my younger brother, Jed, passed away after a battle with pediatric cancer. And that for me was the turning point. Thank you. And I was going to say, it's always the downer part of the story where I'm like, oh gosh, we're going to bring things down a bit. But for me, that was the turning point where it was no longer just a curiosity, but it became a passion for me. Basically, I always joke saying, when someone loses a loved one, they might start going to church more frequently. They might frequent the bars. I started investigating the paranormal really hardcore and going ghost hunting. And for me, it was really the only thing that brought any sort of comfort. And as I was trying to find these locations to kind of explore and find these answers about what could potentially be next, I started realizing it was very difficult to access these haunted locations. You know, I'm not a well-known investigator like on TV. I don't have a team. I'm all on my own, and I also don't have a lot of money. So, and a lot of times for these locations, they cost a small fortune, and so it got me thinking, you know, there's haunted restaurants, there's haunted bars, there's haunted hotels that they're already open to the public. They have just as much history as the doom and gloom places you might see on TV, and just as many ghost stories. So why not kind of start going there? So that was kind of the start of Spook-Eats for me, was to create this travel website that focused on haunted hospitality, places that are ready and waiting for you to come and see them. And my hope with that was to kind of bring the paranormal to your average everyday person. You know, I'm not the only person that's lost a loved one. Everyone experiences death at some point, and a lot of people question what potentially comes next. So that was my hope with Spook-Eats, was to kind of create a guide or a roadmap for people to go on their own adventures and experience the paranormal for themselves, so that they could come up with the answers to their own personal questions, instead of just, you know, believing what they see on TV or reading a book and just swallowing it as gospel truth. Really, you know, kind of sinking their teeth into it themselves and experiencing it for themselves, and hopefully finding the comfort that they might need that I've been able to find for myself. So yeah, that's my sort of spooky autobiography.
Now, when you started out, did you start out just going to restaurants, or did you have one focal point versus the other, or did you just throw yourself into it and just everything was in the mix?
I threw myself into it, which probably was a bad idea in hindsight. But basically, anytime I was traveling anywhere, I would just kind of take a brief look at the history, some of the hot spots. I would throw it out to followers who were in the area, any recommendations they might have, and really just started diving in. My very first location I ever went to was the Stanley Hotel, which I was in way over my head for that. It was way in over my head.
Want to go there?
Yeah.
It was beautiful. But I would love to be able to go back now that I'm however many years out from my last visit there. Just because I've learned so much and I've grown so much since then. But yeah, I mean, haunted bars, haunted restaurants, haunted pubs over in the UK, hotels, B&Bs. I kind of cast the net very wide, trying to find these locations. Unfortunately, COVID kind of put a damper on things when travel was locked down and restaurants were like, we're only to go. And it's like, well, dang it. So I had to kind of get creative with like trying to keep myself busy, because I'm not good at not having projects. But, so hopefully as things kind of return to normal, quote unquote, we can start Spook-Eats back up again, just because it's been kind of stagnant for a while, just because it was COVID, I had a baby, and nobody wants to take a baby to a bar. Nobody wants to see a baby at a bar. So I don't want to be that person.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to be that person, because 5 years ago I'd be like, why the heck would you bring a baby here?
Yeah.
So.
I'm trying to do some investigating while eating. How can you do it on me?
Right.
How dare you be so rude?
I got a baby card on the EVP. What the heck?
Although nowadays you never know what you're going to see. So
you said you did bed and breakfast. Did you stay over at them then?
Yeah. So I try, when I review a place, I do try to stay overnight. There have been a couple places where I haven't been able to stay just because they're a bit on the pricier side, which just kills me. But there have been a couple of B&Bs that I've stayed at. On my honeymoon was one of them, and I didn't tell my husband that till after the fact. Otherwise, he probably would have burned the place to the ground. But there's an ongoing theme here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've stayed at a couple of haunted hotels, a couple of B&Bs, a couple of Airbnbs, which is always fun. I have an overnight stay at the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast coming up in November. So I'm excited about that. So it's actually a whole getaway with ladies from the journal that I run, the Feminine Macabre. So there's going to be 15 women packed into the Lizzie Borden house. So stay tuned for that.
We talk about that today too, Macabre.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that too, because she's probably been interested in that kind of stuff too.
I started to, me really getting focused into watching like a video, like I either have to shove earbuds in my ears or
Yeah.
like, cause I have younger kids and all boys. So they're very loud and proud of it. So I was trying to watch some of your YouTube videos earlier, and I finished the first one and I got about 15 minutes into the second one, and I've got the 4-year-old just, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I can't do this. That's
Yeah.
So yeah, once they go to sleep tonight, I'll get back into that.
There you go.
Yeah. So you
we will definitely have to talk about that though tonight, because I'm intrigued to hear more about what led into that. And
I didn't want to jump ahead.
We can talk about it now. I don't care. Like
no. Okay, I was going to ask you about the places you went abroad. Now I know you went over. Just talk about those places and.
Yeah, so I've been traveling internationally since I was 12 years old, so it's been a long time. I don't want to think about how long it's been now. I did a quick 20 years ago, and I was like, oh my God, 20 years ago. I remember 20 years ago. And it's been fun. I used to teach English in China. That's actually where I met my husband, but he's from Minnesota, so that's a long story. But while overseas, I got to go witness a Hindu funeral in Nepal, which was incredible.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. Yeah. It was amazing. So unlike anything that you see here in the States. So I just drank that in. I've been to the Imperial Crypts in Austria. Just recently, I was in the Edinburgh Vaults in Scotland. But my most recent international trip was to the UK in 2019, months before COVID started. So we dodged a bullet there. I would have been very sad if we couldn't have made that work. But I mean, the UK is it's a magical place. I
hear that from so many people.
It's incredible. I've been there 3 times now. And I finally got to venture beyond London. And we went all through England, Wales, and Scotland. And it's just, the history is just so amazing. You'll be at a pub and they'll be like, oh yeah, this pub was built in 1437, but it's not the oldest one. And you're like, oh, of course, why would it be?
So what is?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the one over there is from 1192. And you're like, okay, yeah, sure. And one of my favorite cities was York in England. And it's supposedly the most haunted city in the world. It's like the city of ghosts. Every pub claims to be the most haunted pub. Which I'm like, I'm fine with that. I'll drink at all of the most haunted pubs.
Right.
There was just so many incredible places to visit, and they really do a fantastic job at embracing their haunted history. I feel like here in the States, a lot of times you go to a location, especially a place like a restaurant or a hotel, and you start asking questions, and it's one or the other. Either they fully embrace it and they're ready to share the stories, or they shut you down right away and they don't like to talk about it. And I feel like somehow the UK has managed to find that perfect balance of like being professional, and everyone wants to go to your hotel, but at the same time, it's the most haunted hotel in York or the most haunted hotel in Scotland. So I feel like I'm hoping that in the next few, I'm going to say years, but probably more like decades, that the US can kind of meet the UK in just embracing their paranormal activity and haunted history and just the folklore. Because I feel like I've been to so many places where I get scolded or reprimanded for asking questions. And it's a shame, because whether or not you believe in the ghost stories, they're a part of the location. They're part of the history and the lore surrounding it. So what's the harm? I don't know anyone that wouldn't be like, I'm not going to eat there because they say it's haunted. Most people would be like, I want to eat there because they say it's haunted.
And even if you're one of those people where you're not like a full believer, you're not, that skepticism draws them in too. So I mean, it's intriguing for both sides. Yeah.
And I always say, like, whether you believe or not,
I don't know. I think it's a hotel and restaurant. in now Scott and I are both from kind of like the South Central area of Pennsylvania. So we were very close to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania growing up. I can't remember what the place is called, but as far as I know, it still ran this day, where like everyone knows the history about Gettysburg, PA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, pretty much everybody knows the history.
You should know.
Around Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Been there many times.
Is
Investigated.
the owner of that place, yeah, right. The owner of that place is very hush hush. She does not want her employees talking about the paranormal. It's like a bed and breakfast and like restaurant. I just can't remember, because we reached out the one time like via email just to see like if we could get in one way or the other. And as soon as she found out that like we were in any relation to a paranormal investigation team, like she wouldn't even set us up for reservations to eat. Like,
oh my gosh. Yeah, we have a place similar like that here in Western New York. It was basically, it's a former insane asylum. And everyone knows that's what it is. Like the history is, it's there. And I went there several years ago now. And I said, I'm working on this book. I would love to highlight your location. Do you have any stories for me? And they ripped me apart. And they basically said that by me perpetuating the ghost stories, I'm adding to the stigma of mental illness. And at first I was like, excuse me, but then it did get me kind of thinking, where I was like, do events like paracons and haunted houses inside of asylums, do they add to the stigma of mental illness? You have that vision in your mind of people in straitjackets sitting in the corners, rocking back and forth. So I think, we do have to have a balance of sorts, but it got me thinking for sure. But I was also very sad to find out that they don't let any paranormal people in there. They never have, they never will. Because if it is haunted and there are people there, they're going to be stuck there. No one to talk to, no one to potentially help them and stuff. So it does make me sad that places that refuse to allow people to come in and potentially communicate with the spirits there, they could potentially be cutting them off from, for lack of a better term, a lifeline, as a way to either cross over or find peace. So again, going back to the conversation with the UK, I think they have managed to find that sweet spot, and we're still going through those growing pains for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
To say the least.
Yeah.
And it may just be really kind of more so like more of like the culture thing. That could be an area where generations ago it was natural. It was just a natural thing to talk about. Here in the US, well, we all know, our past generations, our grandparents, our great grandparents, especially your religion, it was a no-no. Like you didn't talk about stuff like that, because then you were going against your religion or your beliefs or your so we're getting there. I think we're on track.
Hopefully. I think back, I'm like, if my grandparents knew that I was like sitting in rooms in the dark talking to dead people, they'd be like, you're going to hell. I know they're rolling in their graves right now, but
I know that within the past 10, 20 years, there's difference, I can tell. That people are more open to it.
Yeah.
And hopefully it'll keep going. It's just the people, like you said, who own these businesses that don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
I don't know what if they could take the, like you said, would get more business, I would think. But then
I think so too.
But then they get people that go in and they say, well, I was there, it's not haunted. I didn't see anything move or anything like that. They're people, naysayers. Then who's gonna, could do a bad Yelp with you.
Right. Bad review for you.
1 star.
There's no damn ghost here. What the hell are you talking about?
I'm sure there are places that get those. Oh my gosh, I can only imagine. Like no ghost,
and
1 star.
That's kind of that right there is a whole subject matter we could talk about for quite some time too, because I don't think a lot of people who are on the fence post about the paranormal, the ones who are still trying to understand, the ones who just are complete non-believers. I believe I heard you say earlier in one of your videos that you actually kind of kicked off your research into the paranormal around like when you were around 14 years old.
Yep.
Like same exact thing for me. Like your experience and my experiences are so creepy, eerily. It's actually kind of pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Because like mine was an old lady situation. Mine was, but like she kept coming around and we actually kind of like figured out, oh yeah, we know who this person is. And okay, we got nothing to worry about kind of thing. So like when we were talking about ages, I'm like, wow, this is kind of eerily creepy here. But I know like, okay, we both got started really in the research of it, dealing with teams, talking to teams when we were like 13, 14, 15 years old. From that time, that point in my life, from now, and I'm not going to say how old I am now, but okay, I'm old enough to have.
I know.
That's blackmail.
You don't tell a woman secrets like that. So
I won't.
Has your wife not like?
I know some of your other secrets, so I'll keep that one in the wraps.
For now,
I'm older than 35. I'll put it that way.
Oh, you wait.
But so much has changed in that time. So I think it's taking a lot longer than what all of us in this field would really like to see it take. But I mean, yeah, it's a slow progression, I guess. Yeah.
But any progress is good progress.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll
take it and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And
so what was your... Go ahead, Scott.
I think there's a lot more groups out there.
Yes.
There were. I mean, when we first started off, it's like you said, but now there's hundreds of groups out there.
Yeah, so I think social media makes it so much more accessible now, where you get to know more groups and they can share their content, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. You know, so I think social media it's a double-edged sword when it comes to the paranormal and literally everything. But I think in that way, it's great because it has kind of expanded the community and has connected people that would never be connected otherwise.
And the more technology that we have and the more advanced it becomes, it helps us as well too.
Yeah.
Because let's just say we take a picture or we have a video clip of what we are calling a finding or evidence or proof or whatever. We now have technology that can read through whatever that is and be like, oh, this has been faked. Or, oh, this is 100% authentic. This has not been messed with in any way, shape, or, So it's nice because having that technology gives us kind of more of an upper hand in what we are presenting to like our fan base and our followers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's actually came around the last 10 years. We tell that when actually going into the phone and stuff. Yeah, back before. So with that, I mean, back before that, you could take a photo really easy.
Yeah. And nowadays, unfortunately, there's so many ways to actually fake something.
Yeah.
That if you have a video and a lot of people are questioning it. Okay, hey, look, here's the expert, because I'm not the expert. Here's the expert, okay? It's been analyzed. This is that person's credentials. This is like, so don't take your beef out on me anymore about it being authentic. This person is saying it's authentic. Yeah. So, yeah, it kind of gives us a scapegoat, too. Never thought about it.
He said it. I mean, I put it out there. We'll see how it then is.
That's funny.
You go to his website now.
Yeah.
Go, please go.
It's not my problem anymore. Take it up with him. Yeah. But I wanted to ask you, I saw that, and we, when introducing you, said about you're a writer. So what started that path for you?
Oh gosh. So I've been writing for a very long time. I won my first award when I was 12.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
Thanks.
It's water as well too. So
Yeah,
water.
right. Yeah, water.
There we go.
I really got my start writing fiction. I loved writing fiction, short stories, poetry, even novels. But as I got older, I kind of got very shy all of a sudden, and I did not want people to read my stories anymore. So I never shared them. I never tried publishing them or anything. And then after my brother passed away, he actually got me a laptop. And his intention was that I would write my first published book on that laptop. And after he had passed away, and I really started researching the paranormal and kind of diving deeper into it, I thought to myself, there are probably millions of novels out there, but there are a significantly smaller number of paranormal books. Right. So maybe, instead of just writing a blog all the time, I can turn my energy and my focus towards writing this book. So my very first book was The Haunted Atlas of Western New York. Very localized, painfully localized. But I figured I don't have any money. I don't want to travel anywhere. Let me write what I know. And I had already been very interested in the local history of Western New York. So I thought, let me just kind of dig deeper, see what there is. And so on this laptop that my brother gave me before he passed away, I just started writing this book. And it took about a year to put together and compile. And I traveled to every single location that's listed in it. It's like over 130 some odd locations. And I published it in 2019. I self-published all of my books.
Oh, nice.
And,
Oh, cool.
and I always encourage people, like, I feel like there's a stigma against self-publishing. And for me, it's like, I have complete control over what the cover looks like, complete control of what the inside looks like and the content and the title. And I get like 70% of the royalties as opposed to like 30% of the royalties.
Right.
So I always really want to encourage people. It's very, very easy to do now, especially with technology nowadays. It's so easy.
Right.
But that was my first book, and it had a great response in Western New York. I have it in several different local shops. Apparently it's in Barnes and Noble. Somebody just sent me a picture of that today. I had no idea.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, that's exciting. I should go and sign the one copy that they have left. Woohoo. But that just kind of opened the floodgates for me. I thought, I can do this. People are interested in this topic, especially focusing on the haunted hospitality end of things. At the time, no one had been doing anything like that. Now there are a couple of other podcasts and websites that are kind of doing the same thing where they mix, restaurants and bars with the ghost stories. Yeah. But I was the original.
You are
the OG. Yeah.
I'm the OG.
the original.
Yeah. And since then, I just released my 10th book this past week. So 10 books in the last 2.5 some odd years. I'm not good at not being busy. I always have to have a project going.
That was the Harlot one?
Yeah. And I have it right here. A cheap plug. Harlots and Hauntings. Yeah.
So with you being from New York and writing that book, what ended up being like, I know you review, especially if you're eating, like you review and kind of, grade it nicely. And, same along with like the creepiness factor in like the location. And what do you think was like your absolute favorite when it comes to like both?
So for me, probably the one that was the most interesting is a bar, of course. People who are watching this at home, they're like, of course she picks a bar. It's called the Swanee House, and it's a dive bar, but I say that with all the love in my heart. And it's the second oldest bar in Western New York. Second only by like a few years. And it just has, fantastic food, a great variety of different cocktails and beers. And then the history just surrounding it is so rich. It's so deep. It's got a great ghost story, but the ghost or the spirit that's said to be haunting the location, he's known as Swanee House Bob. And he was a former employee that worked there back in, I believe, like the 40s or the 50s. On his way home from work one night, he tragically died in a car accident. And after that, his mother brought a photo of him to hang up at the bar. And it's still hanging up there today. So you can go and see Swanee House Bob. Fast forward probably like 50 years or something. So just a few years ago, someone spotted Swanee House Bob down in the basement. And they actually came upstairs and grabbed a baseball bat off the wall because they thought someone had broken in, and they were like hiding out in the basement. And they described him, and he was like, he's got a white shirt, a thin, skinny black tie. He looks like this. And the owner just like kind of like turned to like pointed to the photo on the wall. And it's one photo out of probably 100 different memorabilia and photos and plaques and things like that. So they think that Swanee House Bob haunts the place. The owner considers himself kind of like the keeper of the location. He's not the owner, he's the keeper of it, and he's there to protect it, which I just thought was a really cool approach to it. A lot of times I think people can take advantage or just completely ignore the history, and I think that they just do a great job at kind of celebrating it and encouraging us to talk about Swanee House Bob and whoever else might be lurking there. And I just really like their approach. It's not pretentious, it's not expensive at all, which a lot of haunted locations, especially in the hospitality industry, can be exorbitant sometimes and so expensive. So it's always nice to find cheaper places because again, it makes it more accessible to everyone. You don't have to, destroy your piggy bank trying to get a cocktail at these locations. So the Swanee House. I loved the Swanee House.
Okay. We'll have to remember that one for next time we're all back in Pennsylvania, Scott. We're making a trip to New York.
There you go. Come get some chicken wings, come see Niagara Falls, and go to the Swanee House.
Unless we get to New York for an investigation, we check it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like what's on our plate right now, is most of the places that we've been kind of looking into are all, New York and Ohio. So,
Very cool.
Well, there you go. We'll come out, walk out there together.
There you go. Hit me up if you come out.
hit you up in Buffalo.
Yes.
Right.
Never there, Buffalo, but.
I know I have, but I was way too young to remember. Yeah.
Let's have New York in high school.
Never really been much of a city girl.
I was I had a parade the first time I was there.
A parade?
Yeah, I was in the high school band.
Oh, and you went to New York for it?
Yeah, St. Patty's Day.
How fun!
That's pretty sweet.
That's fun. I was there. All
it was all right.
No big deal. It's fine. Whatever.
I was there. They had all male color guards. I did rifle.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, with your stuff. But
in our heyday of being young, I get it.
Yeah.
You're the only one old here, Scott. Okay.
I'm a lot older than you guys are. I'm sure of that. I'm way sure of that. But I do. So I'm tapping again.
Wrong show. Okay.
All right. So you're talking about, are you talking about the volume 2, or we start going out again, or are you gonna?
No plans of that right now.
All right.
But stay tuned. Maybe.
All
Probably
right.
not.
Okay. I was just curious. Yeah, if that'd be. You probably been check out new locations too.
Yeah, that's
sure
the big thing.
Yep, you got a big file right there. All the stuff for new. I know. Just getting there now with the gas prices and stuff. Oh my God.
Oh man.
I just did an 11. There you go. English is hard. An 11.5-hour drive to Alton, Illinois for the Haunted America conference. And like the whole time. And interestingly enough, New York gas prices were some of the cheapest, and I was flabbergasted by that.
Yeah.
So
right.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we're gonna try to get tip for you this year, but we'll see how it goes. I do get one of August coming up, so looking forward to that one.
I know I won't be taking a vacation if these gas prices double by August. That's I ain't going nowhere then.
Right.
Nope. I'll just blow up a little inflatable pool in my driveway, and there will be my vacation.
Yeah.
I'll just stay home.
Yeah. Oh man, it's
Right.
crazy to think about. Now, I also did see that you also write children's books.
I do.
Okay.
When I was at home during COVID, I was pregnant, and I wrote the Haunted Breweries, Distilleries, and Wineries book because I'm a glutton for punishment. I don't know why I did that. I was like, I can't enjoy any of these things. But then I also started working on children's books, and I kind of thought, back to my own childhood after I had that experience, there was really nothing for me
Yes.
to read. That was my level, at least,
Right.
at 7 years old. So I just started kind of on a whim. I did 2 books. I called them creepy books for creepy kids, just so people don't get too mad at me if
The
they're looking at
weirdos.
pictures. Yeah, exactly. So the first book was the Cryptid ABC book, and just goes through the alphabet and introduces, a letter per cryptid.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
C was
right.
for Chupacabra, M was for Mothman, F is for Flatwoods Monster, like all that, and that was fun to do. And then
Oh,
the
what B is
second one,
for?
B was for no, I did B is for Bessie, because that's
Oh,
the
okay.
Western New York Loch Ness.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Y is for Yeti, because
Oh,
I
yeah,
did not
Yeti.
know what else for Y. And then the second one was Krampus's Great Big Book of Yuletide Monsters.
Oh,
And it just goes
Okay.
through 13 of the Christmas monsters found around the world. And I really like to focus on creepy Christmas, just because, like, I've always had a hard time with Christmas. And then after my brother passed away, I was kind of like, screw Christmas. Like, I'm not holly jolly. I don't like this.
Right.
So that's why I did Krampus's Great Big Book of Yuletide Monsters. Last year, I released a book about Victorian ghost stories to kind of bring the creep factor back to Christmas. So I'm trying to just corrupt Christmas as much as I possibly can.
I'm
yeah.
for it.
But yeah, the Krampus book is a lot of fun. I wrote it all in verse, in rhyme. I don't know why I did that. That was fun. But it's narrated by Krampus, and he introduces you to all of these creepy monsters that are found all around the world. And that was a lot of fun to do. I'm not an artist, but I tried illustrating these things. So I say that they're doodles. They're not illustrations
Okay.
at all. I always describe it as kind of like Shel Silverstein style doodles that are very simple, because that's the extent of my artistic abilities.
I saw the cover. That's nice. So
Why, thank you.
I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I'm like, yeah, I think that I'm probably going to have to add them to my cart, because I think my kids need those.
yeah, there you go.
Creepy books for creepy kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My kids are all about it. Like,
Yeah.
we have an investigation coming up in August. We're going, so we've been to Pottstown Elementary School before, but this time we're going back and we're staying a whole weekend.
Oh, cool.
And
Yeah.
my
Looking forward to
15-year-old
that.
so yeah, I know. And Noah, I'm telling you, that boy, like, he is so assed up about this. He's like, I want to go. I'm coming. I'm like, look, yeah, okay, age appropriate. Daryl's like, yeah, bring him along. Let's break him in. You know what I mean?
Oh, we'll break him in.
We're gonna break
Yeah.
him
Oh my
in.
God.
Oh boy.
So
Everybody's-
it's just getting my 15-year-old son to realize, though, like, hey, son, you can't have your phone up in your face like this the whole time that you're there.
Right.
Because mama's going to be like, I'll make you walk home. I don't know how far or how long it's going to take you to get there to South Carolina, but you're going to walk home.
We're going to find out.
He's talking back to our house that's an hour away. You forget that?
He's still walking.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Oh boy.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I know just because of my, like, especially I don't even want to say, like, religious background with my family, because we all weren't really religious.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, certain people definitely had different beliefs, and especially when it came to, like, your children, which I feel was like, mind your own, like,
Yeah.
you know, they're mine. So that's kind of been, like, interesting to see within my family, because it's also watching my family transition into this with me, because now all of my family are seeing me involved in the paranormal, and I started at, you know, like you, a young age as well, and now I'm like grinding it in my children's heads. And some of the older ones are going, Teresa, what are you doing? I'm like, what did you do wrong? Like, so yeah, I can't wait to grind it in.
Oh yeah.
I will be buying those books. Yes.
Yay!
Yeah.
My kids will love them.
Get them on Etsy.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Available
Yeah.
on Etsy. Can personalize
Okay.
and sign them. Not that that's worth anything, but
Oh, nice.
I got one coming.
See, then I got to get 3 copies. That way, like, there's a good copy where
yes.
don't have to worry about anything happening to them. Yes, like I got my children's books, then I have my books that my children are not allowed to touch.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
I got one coming in about 2 weeks. So
Yeah, you do. You told me about that.
I'm looking forward to that.
I love books. I mean, I know a lot of people have switched over to this whole like digital thing with reading.
Oh.
I can't do audiobooks like that. I'm one of those hands-on people. I love to have a book in my hand. And as crazy as this is gonna say, I was gonna say, as crazy as this is gonna sound, I love the smell of books.
Yes,
like
100%.
One of my favorite places to go into, and I got like a really good dose of that growing up because of my mom's career. I love libraries. I love the smell of libraries. Like it's just, I don't know.
We got there.
We gotta like bottle that and like sell it as like a candle or Febreze spray.
Yeah.
There are different locations out here yesterday. We went to one there today.
I know. I gotta check out art. Like we still haven't. Like with just moving to South Carolina, we've been taking up the like more enjoyable things, I guess you can say, on the weekends with the kids. But like now it's like, okay, now I gotta find like the closest library. Now I gotta find like the, now I gotta work on that stuff.
But we do check it out because a lot of us do summer activities for kids. So you try to get them that.
Yeah, I know, but most of them, my kids are considered too old now. Like they stop doing them by the time they're a certain age, especially like the Readers Club. We were a part of like a Readers Club, and I'll tell you, it was back in Indiana. And it's part of the reason I stopped going to it was because they had different time slots for different age group kids. Well, gee, thanks, considering I'm a mom of a 4-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 15-year-old who are all in different time slots.
Yeah.
So, and well, like my 15-year-old was too old anyway. So like,
nah.
But I mean, hey, depending on what it was, what they would have been. I mean, he loves reading too. Like he's actually, he's gung ho right now that he's going to college for like something related to like psychology. So Mama's been buying him all the psychology books, and he's been eyeball deep into one of them here recently. So I mean, even my kids like to read. They'd rather have the book versus
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I guess we're in the paranormal. We try to find every book we can to read about it.
I know. Like she was saying, it was hard when we were kids. There wasn't. You really kind of had to go into the adult section, of the books, and even like So I grew up in a very small town. Everybody knew everybody, kind of like thing. So like if I took out an adult book, everyone was like, "Oh, I'm telling your mom!" Like, okay, my mom works at the library. Woo! Like, so yeah. You really couldn't find really, and like you said about the one book isn't a rhyme, but that's catchy to kids. I mean, shit, I'm an adult and it's catchy to me. So it's catchy it's very catchy to kids. So I mean, good concept. I like it.
I started off with actually one of the first books that I was read about was Hans Holzer.
Yeah. I tried that and
stuff.
It went way over my head. I was way too little.
Yeah. I started reading that while I was 17 years old when I started reading that. But I started with the monsters, the cryptids, that kind of stuff, and then got into
Yeah, I'll admit when I was younger, that stuff definitely still did confuse me a lot more than what it does now. I mean, and a lot of it was just more. It's more so based because of like folklore and location to certain folklore, like it's the same darn thing, but it's called three different names, 4 different names because it's happening in 4 different locations.
Yep.
But it's the same thing. Like, so yeah, trying to learn about that kind of stuff when I was younger was definitely kind of difficult.
Yeah, it was a little too much.
Yeah, just a little. But now, Scott, you wanted to talk about like the series thing that she is doing with like the other. Now they're all females, but do they come from different kind of realms perspective of like the paranormal? Is it all paranormal related or no?
So I originally called it a paranormal journal, but then I realized, like, even though I think the paranormal is a very broad term, it can go even broader. So now I'm calling it a paranormal, metaphysical, and occult journal.
Okay.
And basically it's, we opened it up to anyone who identifies as female or non-binary. The second volume, we opened it up even further. And I basically say, if there's a topic your mom tells you to not talk about at Thanksgiving, that's what we want you to write about. Whether it's hauntings, folklore, cryptids, witchcraft, tarot, astrology. The last volume had a woman wrote all about botany and how basically death appears in various plants and stuff, whether it's in the name or how they were used. It was so interesting. And my favorite thing about the Feminine Macabre is that I, as the editor, I go through and I read everyone's submissions, and I am the bad guy. I pick and choose which ones go in and which ones don't. But I get to learn so much. Like my area of expertise is hauntings. They're ghost stories, a little bit of folklore, but that's really my focus. I don't know anything about it. I know nothing about astrology. Astrology, witchcraft, tarot, that's not my wheelhouse. I don't know those things. So when those types of articles come in, I get so excited because I get to learn something new. And that's my hope with anyone who reads the journal. It doesn't matter what your interests are. My hope is that whoever reads it, and it doesn't matter, again, if you're young or old or gay or straight or a man or a woman, my hope is that everyone can walk away having learned at least one new thing. So we just released our 3rd volume. Volume 4 is coming out in September. And we're just going to keep continuing to do it as long as there's an interest in it.
Nice.
So I'm really excited about it. I love the community that it's created. A lot of the women featured in the journal have become this beautiful little community. They support each other. Some of them hang out in real life now because they happen to be in the same volume together. They happen to be in an interview together, which I just think is so cool. So it was really exciting to just kind of start this on a whim and see that there was an interest in it and there was kind of a niche that needed to be filled with it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, especially in the last couple of years, I've seen a whole lot more of this. Like, why aren't more women supporting women? Like, why aren't we doing this kind of like movement happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to see someone take advantage of this time in our society, where yes, more women are really starting to step up and support each other, and to see it happening this way, in that kind of way, is really awesome. Because you're kind of taking the taboo-ish, so to speak, kind of things about life, and you're bringing it to life. That's part of what you're doing. And, kind of like you were saying, even if they don't really walk away learning too much, maybe if it just opened up their mind about something, just a little bit, is extremely beneficial. So that's a really cool concept. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a cool journey to watch it kind of be like the idea in my brain to, all right, like let's throw the submission guidelines out there, see if anyone's interested, and then to actually get real life people who took the time to write something for this. Like, I thought I would have to pretend to be 30 different people just to like get it up and running. And that was not the case. Thank goodness, because that sounds like a lot of work.
What?
So who are some of the ladies that you've got like the pleasure of working with so far?
Yeah, so we've gotten just writing forwards. We've gotten Patty Negri from Ghost Adventures. She wrote our first forward. Michelle Bellinger, who most people know her from Portals to Hell right now. She wrote our second forward, and then Bridget Marquardt, who my husband like peeked at that. He was like, "The Playboy Bunny." I was like, "Yes," from Girls Next Door. She wrote volume 3 for us. So it's been great to really connect with women who have kind of managed to like make it in the field, which is awesome. And then like more of the grassroots women, I've been able to work with Alex Matsuo from the spooky stuff, Courtney Eastman from the Ghoul Guide, Kate Sherrill, who's over in the UK. She has a great page called Burials and Beyond, and she does a lot of stuff with like Victorian mourning and spiritualism, which that's my obsession. So I love working with her. A woman named Sarah Blake, who she runs a website called Hushed Up History, where she just writes about the most wacky things. She has been featured in every single volume so far. She's managed to submit something. She's fantastic. For I think it was volume 2. She wrote about a talking stove that was documented in Spain by the police force. Like, I have no idea. It's the wackiest thing. But she just finds these things where I'm like, this is insane.
It's got to be a 2022 stove. That's all I'm saying. I mean, because now, I mean, stoves talk to you. Your refrigerators talk to you. I mean, shit, my toaster talks to me. Like,
it's awesome.
Gotta be one of the futuristic ones.
Yeah. But she is I said, aside from myself, because I always squeeze an article in, but she is the only one that has managed to get something written every single time. She's chosen a fascinating topic every single time. It's well researched. It's well written. So I told her, I was like, girl, you need to brag. Like, you've gotten into every single volume. Like, those are bragging rights right there. Like, we have some others that have been in 3 out of the 4. But she's going to be the only one, clean sweep so far. So she's got to keep it going. No pressure.
Right.
It's awesome you get all these submissions too that you have to freaking choose.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
Now, how did you go about that? I mean, did you just kind of like throw it out there to like your social media, to like how did you even begin to like find these women?
So basically, I made a blog post on my website and I just started sharing it everywhere on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And then I really started connecting with people that had podcasts. And I was like, can I please, even just for 10 minutes, come on the show just to say like this, we're open right now. We're up and running. We want submissions. Because I am very adamant about it's submissions only. I pull from what people submit in. I'm not going to pursue anyone. So I'm thrilled that it's kind of started to find a life of its own and that I don't really have to promote it too much anymore. Once submissions open, I'll post it every so often to my Facebook or my Instagram, just so it stays on their radar. But I think especially ladies within the paranormal that are writers or interested in writing, it's on their radar. And I always encourage people, like if anyone's watching is inspired to do this, I really want to encourage anyone who's interested to just at least go to Spook-Eats.com and read through the guidelines. They're way more intimidating sounding than they really are. It's just find an interesting topic, research it, write an article on it, send it to me as a Word document. That's it. And like for me, like they're print copies, they're print books. I don't do digital because I'm not good at technology. And I don't like digital. I like print books. And so I tell people, for me, the first time I was published in an anthology, that it was an actual published book that I put on my bookshelf, that was a turning point for me where I thought I can do this. And my hope is with, these books, it's the same thing that for ladies that are featured in it and they see their names on the back of the cover and they flip through and they see their article in black and white, that it inspires them to take that next step and, independently publish your books as well, So again, if anyone's watching this and is inspired, submissions for volume 5 open in October. They'll be open October 1st to January 1st. So it's a nice, pretty decent sized window. I'm in the process of getting a really cool lady writing the foreword. Just say, that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, sorry.
Most people know her. But yeah, I just, I'm the only person that reads them. I'm not intimidating at all, I hope. Take the chance. You got nothing to lose. And it's a great little community. We're going to the Lizzie Borden house this year, and then Salem as kind of like a girls' weekend of sorts. And then we want to try to do that every year. Eventually, I would love to host like a convention of sorts where writers featured in the books can give lectures and share their findings and information, because we need more of that in the world. I think there's so much information out there for gentlemen in the paranormal. And this is just kind of trying to even the playing field a little bit and just shine a light on the work that the ladies are doing, because it's just as important. They're working with just as much integrity, and they're working so hard. And a lot of times they kind of get ignored because they're not a bro in a tight black shirt running through an abandoned building with a specialist on the walls.
Oh, well.
That's all I'll say.
And that's really, I mean, kudos to you. I mean, a lot of credit to you for even coming up with that idea and wanting to, do your whole concept with this. You're absolutely right. And I mean, we've talked about this. I know Scott and I have talked about this a couple of times now, I think even on our podcast, just with certain different guests. But there is a difference. I mean, now, yes, there's similarities, but there are differences in how a man and a female's investigate. May it be, okay, maybe we are a little bit more soft-spoken and we don't just go ripping into a place and like, here I am,
Yep.
So there's definitely differences. I mean, yes, there's definitely a lot of similarities, but we know there's differences. And this book, the book series, however you play this out, I mean, hopefully I'm rooting for you. I hope it keeps going and just keeps going. Hopefully that will kind of really help to enlighten that as well. That, there's absolutely differences.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I hope that it creates opportunities for the writers. Right. I hope it inspires them to keep going and staying curious and keep exploring, because they have so much information to share and so much knowledge that they have. And it would be a shame if it just stays up in here. Share it with the masses, because it could change the way that people approach the paranormal or change the way they think about something, or they might be like, oh, I never thought of that before. So that's the hope. That's the dream, at least. We'll see.
And I know for some people, sometimes it just takes the right person speaking to you for like something to like click. Yeah. Somebody can tell you the same thing 10 times, but it takes hearing it from that one right person.
Yeah.
For it to compute, you know what I mean? Yep. Which makes a difference, because you never know. You could be that person who is going to make that difference for that other person. Yep. So yes, I mean, and we kind of feel the same way. This kind of this, sharing is caring, you all. Like, I mean, as corny as that phrase is, I mean, it's so true at the same time.
We've always said that there ever since we started there. I mean.
And it's sad to see so many people that are still like, no, like I'm just gonna like hog like all
keep
this
it all
information to myself. And I know we see a lot of it with just different techniques and stuff like that with actually investigating. Researching, because it's not just the investigating part, it's the researching part as well.
Yeah.
And how certain people approach it. And it's kind of like, man, if you've got something valuable that you could share with me, that's going to save me. That's going to save me maybe a little bit of a hassle, because I'm not as technically inclined as like some people. I would love that knowledge. Yeah. I would love to have that knowledge shared to me. Like, but no, we know there's still those within this field that are still very like, it's mine.
Yeah, it's a competition, and it's not like we have no idea what the heck's going on. Let's try to like work together to figure it out.
We never went into it like that. We always had, we never.
No,
So.
I think. I mean, I shouldn't. Okay, I shouldn't say never. But I think the only time where I was actually very resistant on sharing information, and this goes back to I was probably 15, 16 years old, like when I was on my first like team or the second team that I was on. So there was this group, and what we took notice to is there was this group that kind of like just kept following us around Gettysburg. And there was an older gentleman that kept asking, like, well, like, where are you guys going next? How are you researching it? What is that? And I'm like, why are you so nosy?
Yeah.
Like, but in my defense, y'all, I was a smart, teenage kid. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, to have someone approach me like that, I was like, get out of here. Like, this is
stranger
the third
danger.
place that we've been. Yeah, like this, and it really was. It was like, why do you keep following us to, from location to location? So I by that point in time, I just felt very annoyed, and I didn't want to share anything with that dude. I just wanted him to get away from being in front of me by like 3 feet. Like, just go back there about 20 feet. Let me alone.
Yeah.
Just go.
Get back in your minivan and let me alone. Yeah. Definitely one of those moments. But yes, for the most part, we are very we're very pleasant when it comes to sharing. So I know you do have other like projects going on. Like I know you did your first kind of like online Paracon. Because of the whole COVID thing, I kind of saw like clips of that.
Yeah.
So what was that experience like?
Honestly, it was really cool. It was back in the middle of COVID in 2020. And it was run by Courtney from Haunt Jaunts, and then the guys from Haunted Magazine, who I've been working with for a few years now. And it was really cool. It's all online, so it was kind of up to you to like go to the right website or go to the right video at the right time. But we had so many people doing things on antique photography and walking through a cemetery and looking at symbolism. I talked about my 5 favorite haunted restaurants, because that's what they asked me to talk about.
I actually watched it.
Oh, did you really?
Because you're probably talking about Tui Snyder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that. I was like, this is great. So I thought it was fantastic. And I would have loved it if they had like continued doing it, just because a lot of people can't afford to travel to conferences or Paracons, or they just live so far away that they can't make it. Right. So it was a great option for everyone to kind of be involved in this. And I just had a blast that weekend, kind of hopping from Facebook page to Facebook page, watching people's videos and just
I did the same thing.
Right.
It was so much fun.
I thought he said about it too. I guess you can get to go on for it, but
it was. It's really neat because more people, Amanda, like you were saying, okay, because of what COVID has kind of like done to us, our society, yes, it's been very unfortunate, but it also opened up a lot of doorways and doing things differently. And it's become more beneficial to a larger group scale of people.
Yep.
So I find it interesting because what I'm starting to see is, even though people are getting back to normal with like their Paracons, their conventions, their, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. More and more of them are still being like, but hey, we're going to give you this option too.
Yep.
And I think that's super cool that, just because things are opening up and things are kind of like going back to normal, that a lot of these people are still willing to like offer that as a way for people to see the speakers and stuff. So I'm like, okay, like, it sucked, none of us like being cooped up, but it has
opened looking for
the
a silver
doors.
lining.
Yeah. I wondered how that went for someone who was in that, because I know I can be very socially awkward at times, but then I can also be very like camera shy at times. Mm-hmm. So it's like,
you camera shy? Oh God, right.
I can. But this has really helped me with that.
That's
this
good.
has really helped me with that.
Mhm.
Because before I unless I was publicly speaking, I've done a lot of public speaking. And I mean, I had to get used to that real quick when I was real young. But the whole like internet and sharing videos and stuff like that wasn't really my cup of tea until I started doing it for like a smaller group of people and like worked my way like really into it.
Yeah.
But this has kind of got me to my comfort level now, because it's been more of a consistent, regular basis thing for us. So it's
Been
like
beating it into you.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's 2 o'clock.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we enjoy doing it. I mean, it's. We'll have people on too who can tell their stories, and
Yeah.
we try to strive towards that. So.
And having different people on too. Like, I really enjoy having different types of people on. Not just we spoke to literally probably just about everybody now, except for maybe like a demonologist. But no, we did speak to someone who did like tinker around in demonology a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah. So actually, I think he postponed.
No, this was. Yeah, no, I'm thinking of somebody else. I'm not thinking the guy that just postponed. It was someone else that we were talking to that kind of, I think, only dabbled into it like a little bit though. So
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We had like 47 guests so far. Some kind of
yeah.
Some kind of
They it can kind of jumble together at times.
Yeah.
Understandably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because like you start talking, it's like, oh, I remember talking about this with like, and then it's like that one thing gets mentioned or brought up, then you're like instantly like that's who it was. That's exactly who it was.
Yeah.
Like, instantly, but you just spent the last 15 minutes frying your brain trying to figure out who it was. Yeah. Yeah, that's my world.
that's where it usually goes. Yeah.
Right. So, why don't you share with the viewers where all they can find you? Where can they find you? Where can they find your books?
Yeah, so my website is just Spook-Eats.com. Nice and easy. And then on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, I'm just at Spook-Eats. It's nice and easy. It's consistent. Right. And then if anyone's interested in the Feminine Macabre, we are on Facebook and Instagram. If you just look, the Feminine Macabre will pop up. And if anyone's interested in reading through the submission guidelines for a potential future volume, if you go to Spook-Eats.com/Feminine Macabre, you can find it there. And if you're looking to add to your spooky library, it's just the Spook-Eats.com/shop. It's really hard to say.
Okay.
But that's where I am, and I'm a millennial, so I am always on social media, so I'm constantly updating and constantly posting pictures and stuff. So yeah, come find me.
Right. I think it would be interesting to have you back too. I kind of looked at our timer and I was like, oh yeah, like we're over an hour here.
Amanda talks too much.
But we love the talkers. We love the talkers.
Oh, so, I used to do a radio show and I was like, you need to more. We got an hour to fill. Let's go.
Right. So, you got to fill it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
we should have a problem doing that. So.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Right, you're a wonderful talker, like my God.
Yeah, and that's why it kind of stinks at times, because you get in a really good conversation, or you get like really, and you're like, oh, okay, now I'm kind of like, am I boring people now? Are you still awake, y'all? Like, so.
That's why we started 7 o'clock from my old butt, so I'll stay awake on the show.
Yeah. I like it. I'm usually in bed by 9:30, so.
All right.
But we would definitely, if you're up for it, if you're game, I'm down for having you back. I'd love to have you back.
Absolutely.
Maybe talk more about like your books and definitely some of the so Scott and I here recently we've been kind of like re-oiling all of our lovely gears here. So more talk about kind of having guests on just simply and solely to talk about their personal paranormal experiences. So, hey, even just having you back to come and talk about some of the places that you have been to and what you did experience. And, but y'all got to go out and buy the books too. Okay. All right. She's not going to just like tell you everything.
Yeah, get right. Yeah.
We're only going to give you so much time, and you better get those books.
Right.
But yeah, because we enjoy that too. We enjoy when the conversation just kind of like smoothly glides along, and it, oh yeah, hey, we've been talking for so long already.
I read through my books so far. I need anyone to read, so I'm looking forward to that one coming.
Yay!
So.
It'll go out the end of the week.
All right.
Yeah.
You're not too far away either.
No, so it should be nice and quick. Fingers crossed. We'll see.
Yeah. I look forward to it, really.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, and I will definitely be getting some of those copies of your children's books. I mean, I'm going to get some for myself as well, but priorities, kids come first. So, I'll put them in the cart first.
Yeah, right.
And then and mine is how that works.
I'll some things they do, but other things first. Get out of here.
Exactly.
Isn't it your bedtime yet? It's
soon
my bedtime, but
what time is it? Well, yeah, it's soon about their bedtime because well, Mom, it's summer. I don't care. I'm the one that has to put up with you all day long. Go to bed. Okay? Yeah, that's how that works. Except for the weekends. I mean, we've been doing a lot together on the weekends, so it's like, okay, let's kind of treat the weekdays not as like the party days here. Okay, let's kind of keep that to the weekend still. I'd appreciate that. It's working out okay so far.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, luckily I got the bath and showers out of the way earlier because I was like, man, I have a funny feeling. I know how this is going to go tonight. Like, we're going to get done and then they're going to fight me when it comes time to get a shower. Yeah. Scott gets to hear it all the time.
Oh, yeah. She's like, get.
Yes. Oh, yes. But it was absolutely a pleasure having you as our guest tonight. And by all means, please come back. We want you to come back and share some more with us.
Yeah.
So we encourage all of our followers, go follow Amanda, check her out on all of her social, media platforms, and make sure you're checking out her books too. We all love to sit and enjoy a good book from time to time. So, get on over there to her Etsy shop, check out what she's got, and put some in your cart. Okay, she'll appreciate it, and so will we.
I will.
So, exactly.
Help me, I'm poor.
Come to me, yeah. But yes, we will. I think we'll definitely have you back, and it's definitely been a pleasure. So, if you guys have any questions for Amanda, you're more than welcome to comment on this video. If it's something we can't answer, we will definitely reach out to her and get those questions answered for you. But with that said, we are going to let you all go for this evening, and we thank you for sticking around with us and hanging out with, Scott and Amanda and I tonight. So enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night, and we will see you on our next episode.
Have a good
night.